Any changes?
Recording in progress.
Oh, great.
They should be quick.
Okay, give them to me.
So the first one is VT alert software.
Okay. Okay, do we have any
Second one is
changes?
Evergreen septic.
Okay,
Third one is Hyde Park fire training compensation. I have a quick update on the Johnson Street extension project. And then the Merck grant for the library. And then the local emergency management plan. We're going to review that tonight. We just got it back from Vermont Emergency Management this afternoon.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's not gonna be ready.
So we'll move it
Push that to the 27th.
Okay.
I would know, since Matt is here, we can approve the meeting minutes from the last meeting. Otherwise, if Matt pops off, we can't. So we could put meetings up.
Oh, okay.
I mean, unless you want to go on meeting minutes that you weren't here for.
Let's get it done. No, let's get it done. Yeah, we'll move that to after public comment. Okay, cool. Hey. Hello, sir.
How are
Are
you?
you wondering when we're coming over to fix your road?
Oh, that was part of it.
Okay.
This is public comment?
It is, honey. Come right on up.
Come on. So my name's Gary Smith, 303 Barcoo Road, Hyde Park. So, yeah, I knew last fall when you and Matt stopped by.
Yep.
You know, try to do it, I figured it wouldn't happen then.
Yep,
And then, I know you said you'd probably take care of it this spring.
yep.
So I kept meaning to stop by just to see how things were doing, but haven't. And then I saw the meeting tonight, so I decided to stop. And I was looking at the agenda and I saw there's an item on there for Barcoo Road, but it's upcoming. I think it says town ditch and culvert or something like that.
So I put those on there so that I don't forget about things.
Oh, okay.
And
Because they went back and looked at past meetings and I keep seeing that.
yeah, and that's
I said,
why, but it
okay.
is on Mark's schedule, so what I will do is I'll find out more when it's gonna be.
Okay,
Because I know he knows that it needs to happen,
right.
this
Yeah.
spring, and that's supposed to be.
I would like to, like I see, you have, I mean, we didn't talk about any culverts, except for the fact I don't want a culvert there,
Yep.
you know. But this is, I'm gonna try to get him to talk to me before.
I'm going to,
And
absolutely.
The other thing is, I left a message right after you guys came.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, probably left it for you and Matt, but I was reminded because the Hyde Park Fire Department came to do their practice things that
Oh,
they do a few times a year. And down at, what they do it at the pond.
Okay.
It's a dry hydrant, right? The pond is come down the hill. But what they do is they like to come all the way down to the barn
Okay,
and turn in the barn and then go back out. I'm not sure why they do that. I don't know why they were so back right down off of Valley Road. It seems like it'd be quicker, but you know, hey, that's what they like to do.
okay.
And I saw them doing this. Oh, yeah, because we talked about maybe going 30 feet past the barn.
Mhm.
And I watched them do it that night. I said, you probably want to go like 50 feet. You know, it's not a big deal. It's a little bit of dirt.
Okay,
But I
okay,
would go a little further because it gives them that.
extra
you know,
access.
they're fairly good sized trucks. And
Yeah.
it's not a real wide driveway, so they're cutting it in.
Okay, okay,
I mean, I'm sure I always have an issue with that.
okay, right.
You know?
Right, well, and the fire chief is also on the highway department, so.
Oh, really?
Yes. So,
I would
he-
think he'll want that.
he would probably appreciate that too.
Yeah.
Gary, give me your phone number just because you're right here. I think you're in my phone.
Sure,
but-
730
Okay,
5230.
okay. So I will give Mark a call tomorrow and
Yeah.
find out the schedule and have him get in touch with
Yeah,
you.
we can figure out what, you know.
Yeah.
Make sure we're on the same page.
Perfect.
It was a rough winter because, and this is an issue that Mark and I have because the way they plow, but. They drop that ring plow right down and they plow it right down on an angle even, you know? So what happens is, like, if, imagine here's the road. And then the ditch goes down here, right?
Uh-huh.
They push it down into there and there's no edge. And you see a little bump where it comes up. But so you end up with this.
Pretty good fit.
And then what happens, the wind blows and drivers it right in, and they go, oh, the road is over here. So I had 5, me being one of them, 5 vehicles this year
Went in that ditch.
that went into the ditch. And I only know the FedEx and UPS, I pulled them out, I pulled myself out.
Oh,
I don't know who the others were, but I see the
Saw the
signs the
marks.
next day, you know?
yeah,
And that's, every one of them is the same reason, because that it's like a false thing there, you know?
yeah.
And once you're going over, you ain't stopping. I mean, I had a
No.
4-wheel drive truck, had a plow, and it was like,
Yeah,
I put reverse one, no, it ain't going, go get my tractor and pull it out.
yeah. Did you hear that, Mark? Matt? Is he still on?
I did. I couldn't really understand what he's saying. Like what Mark's doing wrong that causes it.
No. Well,
Oh.
it's more so the ditch
Oh, okay.
cause it being so big and then
But they
the wind
also, they run
blows.
that wing plow down.
Okay.
Instead of just winging, they don't need a wing plow like that, you know, you better off to have a bank, or I guess whatever height they don't, you know, take that wing plow, put it like this and throw it off. Then you always have an edge.
An edge there,
Now that
okay.
you don't know where the edge is, it's just, you know, as soon as it's just a little, and it blows wind all the time.
I'm sure it
You know,
does
it's
right
just
there.
like,
Yeah,
I guarantee it's gonna fill it every time.
okay.
I don't know,
Okay.
I don't think he appreciates my critique of how they plow, but that's just my 2 cents.
Hey, I appreciate it.
You know,
Cool. And this
All right.
is our new town administrator. This is Alex.
Alex?
Yes.
Same here.
And actually maybe I'll have Mark take you over so you can see what he's talking about, and because it's been an ongoing situation. I'm gonna call it a situation. That we're gonna take care of. Yeah.
Mine and yours.
Well, we appreciate your patience.
Okay,
So I'll be in touch, Gary.
okay, you
Great.
guys have a good night.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's, and what are you? Okay, sorry.
No,
I didn't know you were, okay. So let's approve the minutes from the 25th.
I'll make the motion to approve those minutes.
Okay. I'll second that, okay.
Recommended.
Yes.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, I will abstain because I wasn't here
Matt, are you
and I
voting?
didn't read them.
I gave an eye.
Oh, you did.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Okay, Jen does not have really a lot on her finance memo this week. Pretty basic. And you guys are doing the warrants, so.
Yep.
Did you both sign them?
I did.
Okay, well. You wanna?
I'll make a motion to approve the warrants.
Okay, second?
I'll second that.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, abstained. Okay, yeah, we don't really have much to talk, anything to talk about, and I signed her paperwork right here, Alex, if you want to take that to her for the grant.
Matt, are you voting on the warrants or abstaining?
Probably abstaining, he probably hasn't seen.
I keep looking at the TV.
I do too.
I approve them. I was able to look through them on the line today.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yep.
Thank you.
There's nobody on the TV, it's black.
I know.
It takes me like 3 minutes to get to the unmute section.
Okay, no problem. We'll try not to bother you. Okay, come on up.
Well,
Do you want to move that?
no,
Just so,
certainly.
Matt can hear you online.
So I'm an assistant planner at the Vermont County Planning Commission. My name is Mark Mastrangelo. I've been working actually with your planning commissions pretty frequently in the past couple of months. As they update their town plan. And you should have all seen an email from Melissa Monka, my coworker at LCPC, to inform you about an update, a required update to your hazard mitigation plan. So I have seemingly way too much papers for this many people, but it's okay, we'll reuse it. So in her email, I don't really have any new information on that regard, but just to restate. It's currently set to expire on January 12th in 2026. And that is pretty important because one, your municipality is required to have a hazard mitigation plan in order to have state and federal benefits, including state and federal hazard mitigation plan funding. Rather, and then also it'll impact your ERAF rating, which I'm not quite sure what it stands for, but it's important.
Okay.
Because after a disaster, eligible public costs are reimbursed by federal taxpayers at 75%. And then the state of Vermont will give an additional percentage of the total cost, depending on how well prepared and planned out this process was. So, if you don't have a hazard mitigation plan, the state will give 7.5%, and if you do, it jumps up 10% and you get to 17.5%. So that is a big jump when you're talking percentage numbers in tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands, depending on what you're looking at. So that's why it's really important. That's when it's expiring.
Okay.
The unfortunate news is this will be pretty tight.
Okay.
Because I have a timeline here. Unfortunately, they're all paper at the moment, but I can. This is also, I can note this up a little bit from the email that Melissa sent. Because we need to submit this plan to VEM, Vermont Emergency Management, and they need it, they can take up to 45 days to review it. That's really taking a big chunk of our time. I've heard whispers in the office that theoretically, if you tell them it really needs to be rushed, they might be able to, but it's best not to rely on that.
Absolutely.
So for today, the goal was really to introduce myself, introduce the plan.
Okay.
And I also have your current copy here as well in one of my millions of papers. And I just have a couple markings of what will likely need to be done.
Okay.
So we can go through that if no one has any questions at the time. So it's broken up into sections. So this first section is primarily data updates to the community profile. Just looking at census data and things like that, and I was telling Alex, I've actually already done that, so.
Okay.
When we have our first joint meeting, I'll present those to you guys, and a thumbs up is usually gonna suffice for census data.
Okay.
Certain things I can give you a heads up on are boards, on page 2. It has a couple comments on other organizations in the county. So like the sheriff department, fire department, and Northern Emergency Medical Service, where I personally couldn't find that information publicly available. However, I'm sure I can contact them if you guys have any contacts or know anyone who works there. That can make that process a lot easier.
I can connect you with them.
Great, that's spectacular. And also that information is great to have, but if it's unavailable, it can just be taken out. It's not the end of the world. So section 1 also has this implementing mitigation strategies, a big table. And that is pretty much all up to discussion. So something to think about, something to read over. And that can be updated as you guys feel necessary. It's really to your discretion.
Well, and we're working on the emergency plan as well, so.
Yeah.
That goes hand in hand
Yeah.
with this part, right? Okay,
And that's part one, which really isn't that
Okay.
intensive. Part or section two talks a little bit about the planning process, and that is also something that's really important in this meeting. It does a great job of explaining what you did last time. Which is essentially that you created a whole committee to kind of run the whole thing. However, as I mentioned, due to the expert nature, doesn't seem like there's time. I'd also like to emphasize that this is all up to you guys and the trustees. It's really you running the show here. So please feel free to chime in.
okay,
So the way I look at it, a committee would be time consuming and we don't have a lot of time.
Okay.
So this section is kind of something that we're working on now, on what you guys think the process should look like. I would add that we probably need to meet twice a month. And preferably with a quorum from the select board and the trustees.
okay,
I mentioned to Alex and to Brian, the general manager of the village, I'm going to their trustees meeting
Okay.
early next month. And then after that, I think it's really, let's start moving, let's start meeting as much as we can, as soon as we can.
okay,
So between the two of you, scheduling wise, I imagine that'd be a little bit more difficult to coordinate than, I imagine your schedules are more busy than mine.
Okay.
So I will try to remain as flexible as I can be. So effectively give me a time and place and I can try to be there.
okay,
I'm also, I forgot to mention this, I'm also working with another assistant planner, Conrad Becker, who you'll meet eventually, I'm sure. So this section here will obviously be edited once that's figured out.
now, so for those meetings, we don't have to have the whole board. I'm just thinking planning wise, if we're planning those meetings, but we have to have a quorum,
I believe.
Okay.
Yes.
okay,
Yes.
The trustees were invited tonight. They elected to have their own meeting with Mark.
oh,
in
okay,
early June, moving forward, the two groups do need to coordinate.
okay, to be
So
together.
maybe that looks like. For the first meeting, they come to our regular select board meeting. The second meeting of the month, we go to the trustees.
I like that idea,
Just to
okay.
keep it, yeah, scheduled
okay,
wise.
okay.
Yeah,
Good idea.
I would add, these past couple months, I've been working with Cambridge and the town and village of Cambridge.
Mhm.
And they do a fairly similar thing. They start with select board meetings, because I don't think the village meets very often.
Oh, okay,
But that's been working great. I would add, we also have worked very closely with their EMD and road foreman. And their town admin, but they're also the road foreman, so that's.
okay.
Um,
Same person,
Yes.
Okay.
So I think that would work fairly well.
okay,
We'll see, we can, as soon as I get those dates, I can put it in and we can start looking at everything.
okay,
But that is the majority of section 2, if you look at that, it's basically just note takings of the meeting.
Okay.
So I'll add that the first thing we really did was sit here and chat today, and
Okay.
we'll keep that going.
And Mark, correct me if I'm not tracking this right, but it is the responsibility of the town to develop a local hazard mitigation plan. The ultimate responsibility. Obviously, we want to involve the trustees.
I believe that's a good question. This is listed as town and village,
Correct.
and the village can have their own. I know the town of Jefferson, the village of Jefferson has their own hazard mitigation plan that is very close to, but not exactly, the town of Cambridge.
oh, okay.
So I'm not sure how that dynamic technically is unfolding.
Sure.
I
My understanding was because the village resides in the town. When I did this process last year with Alberg, we had very limited participation from the village. They came to 1 or 2 meetings. We still had a hazard mitigation plan at the end of it that was adopted. So just something to think about if scheduling becomes an issue.
Right,
I think
good
that we can
point.
Just press forward.
Okay,
Yeah, okay, I can certainly double check, I agree, pressing forward is,
right, it's
Right.
key, yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I can get back to you on, especially like forum dynamics, I'm assuming.
Okay.
If the town only has a forum and the village only has some people there, I would imagine that's no reason to stop, but I can double check.
Okay, great.
Certainly. Again. Section 2 seems to be a lot of things that we'd be doing at the end. So incorporating neighboring communities and public involvement. All that is gonna be pretty quick at the end, the real bulk of the edits will be this section 3. Which is actually identifying the hazards.
Yeah.
So that figure 2, you'll see on page 10. What I did with Cambridge is I effectively gave all the members of that working group a blank table here, had each individual member write down if they thought it was a high vulnerability, a high probability, and then I just averaged all that out and gave it back to them what the end result was, and had them discuss it, and the discussion pretty much was, this looks good. So there can be as much discussion as we'd like, but for the sake of speed, it seems better than just kind of individually going between each block and having a 5-10 minute discussion on that. If that works, we can continue with that
Yeah.
strategy.
Yep.
Great. Then from there, again, just speaking from experience with Cambridge, we broke out, I had a meeting with their town admins, also their foreman, and then their EMD to talk about 3.1 here, and primarily we just added some data about the recent flooding events and extent and then location. And then brought that back to the larger group, and thumbs up, discussion, all look great. Figure 3 is just additional statistics from FEMA and NOAA, which again, I've already done, so
Okay.
that's great.
Yep.
And then the next couple pages are just repeating that with other hazard events that were listed as high probability or high vulnerability. So same thing with winter storm and ice storm. Hopefully in conversations with people who have some institutional knowledge and potentially some notes from the past events, we could get that in here. The data from NOAA and FEMA has already been added in our draft copy. And that would just need to be thumbs up or discussed in, I think that'd be your second joint meeting.
Right, cause we had that Halloween storm.
Yep.
Yeah, 19.
When was that?
Um,
When
I
we got
don't
a note?
remember. I just.
It was before COVID,
Yeah, I think it was
pre-COVID.
19.
Was it 19?
Yeah, I just, my sister and Robert were gone.
Okay.
Cause I remember I was at the fire station cooking breakfast for the town, for the road crew and the fire department.
I don't remember what I was doing.
I remember I remember that, cause I remember.
That was a big, that was like, I feel like that was like our last, well, besides the flooding, of course, you know, but other type storm was that.
Cause I remember the Johnson road crew coming up and being like, how come they don't feed us like this in Johnson? I'm like, I don't know, that's Johnson.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then snow, wait, we can ask,
It was a couple
we
years
can
ago.
ask the highway, cause it's the same highway crew, so we can see if they have any
Yeah.
memory that of a specific storm or whatever. Is that
Exactly.
what you want?
Yes.
Sort of there, okay.
Yeah, with the meeting with Cambridge, it was a lot of road closures, so getting down, this was closed for 24 hours, this was closed for 48. They had knowledge on number of houses that, flooded basements,
Sure,
things like that can really bolster up the plan
Okay.
and make it a little bit more than just the numbers that you can find online.
okay,
Speaking of COVID, you added, most likely the last cycle through, that infectious disease outbreak is a significant hazard. Can certainly add a little bit, but thankfully there hasn't been a crazy outbreak similar to the intense flooding that's happened in the county recently.
Mark, are you seeing municipalities downgrade that threat assessment? Now that we've worked our way through COVID,
But halfway.
it's still listed as a significant hazard.
Yeah, I'll need to double check. I think Cambridge didn't, never even initially bolstered it into high, and that just might have been a timing thing. They might have been pre-COVID.
Oh,
not
true.
post-COVID,
Yeah,
So it wasn't on their mind at the time. I would add an interesting thing when I was talking to Conrad, the other assistant planner, about, and we can talk about this more, is. I know in this initial table here on page 10, there are certain hazards that you need to have in there.
Mhm.
But with his experience in Jeffersonville, they also had a cyber attack section in here.
Ah,
And the logic behind that is you could, once it's in the plan and it's fully accepted, if you're applying for a grant to upgrade computer programs in the municipality, it's a great way to say, hey, we're worried about this, we're looking at this, and then you get nice new computers.
right,
Um,
but that's, yeah, that's,
And that's happening a lot.
it is, so that is a,
yeah, I was really impressed with that
yeah,
style of thinking.
right, because when you think disaster, you just automatically think outside, but
Yeah.
that's not necessarily the case.
I mean, because it's happened to school a couple times, it happened.
Right.
at Your office, it's happened.
Yeah.
I scanned the entire state in my last week working in Albert.
Oh,
I
you
had a
did?
Phone call from the chief information security officer for the state of Vermont.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but I had to shut my email down. It was one.
It's happening a lot.
Clicked on a link.
That's all it takes.
Entire state. It's an issue.
Right, it's a thing. Okay,
Yeah, and then we're on to section 4. That has a big actions completed, actions in progress table. Which will obviously need to be updated, and you guys can add things,
Mhm.
that are currently in progress.
Okay.
The rest of that section looks like. Mitigation actions, which is a similar thing that would just be some discussions that get updated and moved around. Quickly approaching the end. Then on page 21, figure 9. My comment here is, once completed actions are taken out, so things that have been done in the past 5 or so years. You would take those out and put that in the completed section. Then you guys can discuss and work together to create some new actions that you want to put in there. And then similar to the other table, I can give you a blank one that has nothing in it. You guys can fill it out. I can give you the average, and discussions can occur, or everyone can say looks good to me.
okay.
Then we have a super small section 5. Which would have small, if any, edits. And then assuming it can all get done by end of July.
Okay.
That'd be sent to VEM. They'd have 45 days, they'd send it back. Assuming they have some comments and edits to make, we can do that. We send it back to them, and then hopefully. By December, we'd have a plan that we can stamp, and we call it a day.
Great, okay. So our June select board meeting is
The
what day?
10th and the 20th.
Yep, June 10th, so those are 2 dates we could.
The. Village meets on the first Thursday of the month. So by our 4th and their first,
Oh, probably.
that could be close together, though, the end of the month, beginning of the month. Not how, is it better to have more time, try to get to 2 weeks? But with the first, you can't really get that anyway,
Yeah,
so.
yeah, I'm planning on meeting with the trustees, as I said, to basically say everything I just said to you to
Mhm.
them.
I mean, it might have to be a special meeting.
It could be,
Mhm.
I can coordinate that with Brian.
I mean. Because if they only meet, you said the first Thursday?
yeah.
Of the
which is
month, so that's June
I think,
5th.
Yeah,
So if we did June 5th and June 24th, that might work.
Yeah, of course, we need.
I mean,
to-
this is obviously, but that's tentative. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna kind of
Yeah,
put
yeah,
just in case.
Which days did you say?
So the trustees meet on June 5th. So we would go to their meeting on the 5th, potentially, if they
Would we-
agree.
That's where. He's gonna introduce what they just said.
No, you're doing that before that, aren't you? No, not till
No.
then.
yeah.
Oh, so that's not gonna work.
I would say, yeah, unless you wanna sit through that whole spiel again.
Why don't we see if the trustees can come to us on the 10th? For the first time, and then we go to them for the next one.
But that wouldn't be till July, and that would be July.
Oh, I thought you said they meet twice a month.
No,
Oh,
Logistically, them coming to our meetings
Mhm.
is gonna be the best spacing
Yep.
and the most consistent schedule.
Yep.
That'll
I think we just
let
try.
Kevin-
Okay. Yeah, because then the first week of July is the 4th, so they probably don't meet.
Yeah. Ouch.
Right, and they may just cancel, right? Like, I don't know what they do.
Yeah, I would add, I think the staggering is ideal.
Sure,
But at the end of the day, I think we need 4 meetings, and
Okay.
if it's closer together than ideal, it's what we're dealing with.
sure,
So again, I think, at least on my end, I'm gonna try to be like hyper flexible to
okay,
fit you guys in, because this really needs to get done.
sure,
So I know you guys are a collective and a group working with another group, so scheduling is gonna be difficult, so I will certainly do my best to fit you guys in.
let's hope it's not gonna be, but we'll see what we can come up with. Yeah. Cool.
Thanks for offering your assistance.
Yes,
Sure.
absolutely, this is great. Okay,
Not sure what the it is, but also throughout there, the planning commission meets on the first Tuesday at 6 with the village. So I don't know everyone's availability, but you met at 5 an hour before, and then they had an hour, so that could be something.
Yeah, like I said, I spoke with them last week. And there were, I don't wanna speak for them, but I believe there was interest to be a part of the process.
Mhm.
If there were meetings outside of their regular meeting times, they talked about sending. A commissioner from each, the village and the town, to kind of attend and keep notes, and I certainly. Plan to continue attending their meetings, and I would give them updates and allow them to be a part of that process.
okay,
And yeah, really the only other individuals who, in my experience, have been involved would be the EMD, the EMC, road foreman.
Mhm.
And of course, you guys are all more than welcome to invite anyone.
Sure, that we
who-
think.
Yeah, who has the knowledge. The more the merrier, the way I see it, so.
Okay. Just get the information out there and then
Yeah.
then you can put it in there.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Jen's gonna have a part, because there's some
well, I'm the emergency
FEMA
management
money,
director,
right.
so that covers that.
Great.
there's some money.
Right.
here, so she'll-
Yeah, we can include
That
Jen.
covers covers that.
Okay, well, great.
So-
So so will you talk to Brian about meetings prior to him going there? Okay, cool. Okay. So we'll be seeing you a lot in the next couple of months.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
great. Okay. Well, thank you. Does anyone have any other questions or, okay,
Yeah. and hopefully can
we'll do some homework prior. Maybe grab one of those for Jen too, because maybe she can add in FEMA stuff if needed or whatever. She might have some thoughts on it.
Yeah, and the road crew will have some information on like
Yeah.
the storms and road crew, all that stuff. too.
Actually, let's take one for Mark too. Good
Yeah.
idea.
I was-
That's why you
you're
made
making
so
me
many.
feel really
I
good.
know, exactly. No wasted paper.
We'll make sure we get them out.
That's right. Yeah, so Mark and Jen.
Does Matt want a copy?
Yeah. Great. Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Certainly.
Appreciate it.
I know you said something about MERP. So I don't know when that is on the agenda,
Yep.
but I'm vaguely involved with MERP at this point in LCPC's office.
Well, you're up next. So if you want to
Oh,
talk
right,
Merck
right there.
first, then go for it.
But just in case you guys have any questions, I
Sure.
can bring them on.
Okay.
So there was a request from the library to install one of the 3 mini splits now.
Mhm.
So they can access air conditioning, the upstairs of the library heading into the summer. Reportedly, it gets pretty hot.
It's so much.
I bet it is.
So we ran this through the Merck folks,
Okay, because that was on the MERP list, right?
correct,
Yeah, okay.
the excavated nature of it, we weren't sure if it had to go out to the full RFP.
Gotcha.
So those emails came through this afternoon, as long as we're following our procurement process,
Okay.
we're good to move.
Oh, great.
Bob took the liberty of getting 3 quotes from both businesses that he
Awesome.
dropped off. So the first.
Doing his
one
job, right?
is from. Where's your company? 4 Seasons.
Okay.
They came in at 8,411. Parker came in at 9,458. You're all sitting down. Perfect Tent came in at 16,509.
Okay.
Here it is.
4 Seasons.
4 seasons.
Located on Battle Row.
So it's local, right?
Yes.
Nathaniel. That's right, Nathan, it's Carrie White.
Seasons.
Oh, I don't know.
That's where Nathaniel works.
Oh, okay.
Parker.
Yeah.
9,458. Perfect Tent. 16,509.
Thank you.
They're
You know,
all
Carrie,
quoting similar units, so.
You know Carrie White? Someone came with her.
You need a vote for that or?
Probably.
we don't?
Motion.
I'll make a motion to go with 4 Seasons with a amount of $8,411 to put in the mini split
At the library.
at the library.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Perfect. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oh, there's Matt. Opposed, abstained. Awesome. Okay. Is that all we have on the MERP?
No, not at all, no.
Cool. We did the right thing on that?
That seems great to me.
They will be very happy. Okay. What we have next,
It's all you.
let's do the BT alert.
Okay.
Part of going through the local emergency management plan yesterday, we discovered that Hyde Park does not participate in the BT alert program. So what it is, it's an application, either computer-based or phone-based, where the municipality can send out emergent messages. You have to use this form to adopt it as a formal messaging platform for the town.
Okay.
This doesn't mean that this is the only way we can send messages. We can still update the Facebook, the
Okay.
website.
Just
do all
another
the
option.
things we're doing. The beauty of this is that it pings all the cell phones, who are enrolled in the BT alert program. I don't know if any of you folks use it.
I know.
I do.
So you
Yeah,
get road
I do too.
closures, accident notices,
Yeah.
if you're trying to scoot.
I am.
Thank you so
I know.
much.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Appreciate it. We'll see you soon.
Feel free to reach out to me. My email is on some email that hopefully you guys have seen.
Yep.
But marc@lcpcbt.org.
Great.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Thank you. Yeah. Have a good one.
It also has
You
the
too.
ability to ping all the cell phones in a general area if there's something accident, like an active shooter or a missing person.
Okay.
So this is the resolution. I've put myself, Nicole, Ryan, and Mark on the list. There's a training provided by BT Alert that teaches you how to use the software. They
Okay.
have pre-made templates that you fill in because they want the messaging to be very consistent. So if we choose to adopt this tonight, we would then do a social media campaign to try to get folks in the area who don't know about this to sign up. So then we can message them in real time.
Great.
Make sure it goes in Justin's next newsletter too.
Yes.
Great. So we need a
So-
motion to adopt this, I would
And it's-
imagine.
We don't.
Oh, we don't. Great.
You as the chair
Oh, okay.
are authorized to do it.
Oh,
I
okay.
recommend that we
Great.
talk about it in the select
Okay.
board meeting,
Okay.
but as long as everyone else is on board with that.
Is everyone good? I would imagine.
Yes, I know.
Justin may have a question.
Yeah, so the process of it, someone signs up, can you explain again how you sign up for it and how it gets distributed out?
Sure, and we can put out some information on this for the public too to sign up. They can voluntarily enroll in the program, which is gonna get all the routine messages. Hey, we're closing this road. Hey, there's a boiled water notice. But there's also the option for BT alert through emergency management to ping all cell phones in a geographical area. If there's an active shooter at the high school, they can draw an imaginary circle in a 2 mile radius and ping all the cell phones to let them know to avoid the area. So part of the training is coordinating with the VT alert folks, having their contact information to be able to send out those time sensitive, really emergent situations.
I don't know if we should put Brent from North Hyde Park Fire Department on here,
Yeah, I can. make that
maybe? Just because, is Ryan on here for the fire department or the highway? Okay, so maybe we should add Brent too as the fire chief for North Hyde Park, just
If he's
because,
interested,
yeah, if he's interested, yeah. I'll tell him I volunteered him.
You all told him.
That
Well,
is
great.
VT alert.
Thank you for that.
While we're on the topic of emergency stuff, we can switch to the fire department.
Okay.
I realize that the fire department does not get paid for their trainings.
Okay. What do you mean? What training?
So they
Sure.
train at the fire station 3 times a month.
Oh, on Tuesdays, right, okay.
We pay them to go on emergency calls.
Oh, they don't get called for that, paid for that?
For their monthly meetings, they don't, for
Oh,
their,
I didn't realize that.
like tonight, when they have
I
drill.
don't know if they do.
So typically, fire departments do get paid in some capacity for their training.
Mhm.
One, it encourages folks to maintain their skills. Two, it's a great recruitment and retention thing.
So Chelsea, I think this is kind of what North Hyde Park just switched to, remember?
Yes, they did.
So we really do want to encourage that and recognize the folks that are doing this training. So I had Ryan send over a training roster going back to July 1 of last year through the current. Which with this, there's about a dozen folks who attend training regularly.
Mhm.
Anywhere from 30 trainings all the way down to 9. I ran the numbers, we can't pay them for the 3 hours or 2.5 hours that they're there. Especially with our budget right now
Mhm.
and where the salaries sit. But I was thinking that we could compensate them $15 for each train. So that's between 450 to 180 a person. That would total out to be $4,600. If everyone attended all of the trainings between now and the end of the fiscal year, it adds another 1,400, so it approaches 6,000. The salary line is currently at 73.24%. So there's about 6,000 in the budget left. That's not including if there's, 50 emergency calls between now and the end of the fiscal year. All that said, I'd like to do something for them as a year-end training bonus. And thank you for showing up and keeping your skills up. What that looks like for next year, we can make adjustments. Really just looking for input from you guys. Ryan was very excited to hear the concept.
Yep.
And that the folks would receive some kind of compensation for training.
Okay. Oh, this was something, they didn't suggest it. You
No, I asked the
noticed
question.
it. Oh, okay, okay.
He's not expecting it, he didn't ask for it.
Sure.
He put this together because I asked him.
I do like the idea of a lump sum versus,
Mhm.
an hourly thing.
Mhm.
But I feel like. Should we cap it that you only get paid if you attended so many trainings? But I don't know,
We
does that,
certainly could, I was.
but there could be reasons why the other ones didn't go either, so then there's that, did they not do it because they work nights doing something else, so they can't attend all the trainings, so there could be valid reasons versus just being lazy.
Yes, I mean, yeah, cause what if, I'm just throwing this out there, what if they are a plow truck driver and they were
Right.
working, so I don't, and then, I don't want to, you wouldn't want to penalize them because they couldn't go in the winter time and they couldn't-
Exactly,
so.
yeah, so I don't know.
There's a broad range of number of trainings that folks have attended. I looked at it, I tried to come up with some brackets.
Okay.
5 and 10 trainings, none of it really made sense to
Okay.
me.
Okay, that's fine.
And those things, I guess, are just kind of outside the control, but what we're really looking for is for people to keep their skills up and be
Yeah.
engaged in the fire department.
Mhm.
So
Absolutely,
I was thinking we could do something for them for this year.
Yep.
And then create a policy.
okay, moving forward,
And if we decide that we come up with some kind of bracket scheme. that
Sure.
says between 5 and 10 trainings, you get $100 at the end of the year or whatever, we could hash that out.
yeah, okay,
But I just kind of want to retroactively say thank you.
Alex, I think it's worth talking with Brent from the North Hyde Park Fire Department, because I think they changed their policy. I think somebody already brought it up, but
They
Yeah.
did, but they're doing something weird.
Theirs is very weird,
Yeah,
and I feel like this makes more sense to me in my head than what they're doing.
yeah.
But we should probably look at it.
but we just, because I was thinking more across the lines of EEO stuff. If those guys aren't getting paid now, we're crossing the lines of, we got to look at.
No. they're
Fairness.
private.
Yeah, they're
They're
private,
private, Matt. It doesn't.
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Okay.
But there may be some good information.
Yeah,
inside
absolutely.
of What they're doing.
Yeah.
That we could use to
um,
build ours off of.
yeah, cause theirs was weird. And, because
It was on a tier.
it was, yeah, it was on a tier and it had to do with,
Yeah. You have to, when you call Brent about the Vermont alert, ask him.
Yeah.
Cause he's the one that came up with it, just for information for for a potential policy.
And Ryan's doing really great with his budget this year. There's like 70,000 extra dollars that they have not spent. So while we may go over in the salaries line, he's been very frugal with that money. So we do have.
He wants that equipment that we took away from him.
He does.
Saving his money.
But honestly, his budget status report looks the best out of all the departments. So
Okay, cool. So I don't know, what do you guys think? Do you wanna make a motion to approve that for this fiscal year, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Matt, do you have any thoughts?
I'm good.
Okay.
she was counting for you to be able to unmute that.
That's how long it takes me. I'm sorry. I had to.
No, you're fine, Matt, not a problem.
Well, we figured it out.
I just don't want you to not want to say something and not be able to.
So
Okay,
we'll
well,
probably sit on this until the end of June. Once they're done their trainings, I'll get final numbers.
Okay,
It'd be interesting is if numbers improve next year, like, oh.
Well, I
wait,
think that's-
Wait a second.
I think that's the goal,
Well,
is to
yeah.
get people to, I mean, that's why North Hyde Park did it, because they realized that
they were
that
struggling.
people weren't going to trainings, and then they show up for a call and nobody knew what they were doing because they weren't being trained properly throughout the year, and
Right.
that's,
I landed on the set dollar figure for one training, mostly because I've been to fire trainings, rescue trainings in the past. And while they're there for 3 hours, the first 45 minutes is, them connecting, which is great.
Right,
There's an hour of training and then there's the after training meeting.
right,
yeah, a lot of times that's just hanging out.
which is more hanging out, right?
It's better than what they're getting now, so.
Exactly, yeah, no, I like that. Thank you for that. Okay, so do we want to make a motion?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Second.
Okay, and Nicole seconded it. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Bye.
Aye, opposed, abstained. Great, okay,
I just want to read back that motion. To approve, motion made by Savannah Droney to approve $15 per training session for our Town of Hyde Park Fire Department members from July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2025, seconded by Nicole.
correct. We'll get final updated numbers. I don't know if you want to put that in the minutes for the end of June.
Oh, yeah, so be a thing, so do these checks need to be cut in this fiscal year?
Yes. So they train 3 times a month. So we do have a couple of weeks to work with. Me and Jen will stay on top of that. We'll run it with the weekly payroll. To make sure we capture it in the right fiscal year.
Okay.
We have Johnson Street Extension.
Okay,
So the Trudells will be signing their easement.
great.
They were happy with the valuation. They're dealing with some personal stuff right now. I
Okay.
expect that to happen probably the end of this week, early next week. Which leaves us with 2 easements left. Won't get into too much detail, because we're not in executive session, but
Okay.
one of them is progressing well.
Great.
The other one, I have their written thoughts that they sent over this morning,
Okay,
which are lengthy.
okay,
I sent this over to Doug. He's going to digest it, send me his thoughts back. Probably have to have Dave look at this as well.
okay,
And then we may, at the end of this, have to go back to the drawing board And see how we can do the project without securing this specific.
Okay,
Cautiously optimistic that
Yeah.
we can find some common ground here and push it through,
great.
but every time I feel like we've made a stride. The feedback is just not great. So
Oh, bummer. Okay,
we'll see how that lands.
okay, great.
If this doesn't move forward in the next couple weeks, I'm anticipating Doug and his team to say, we can do the paving and the ditching. We won't be able to do the roofing work. So-
No, let's hope that
It's all
doesn't
kind of hinging
happen.
on this.
Okay, well, fingers crossed. Okay, thank you for working on that.
So we got the North Hyde Park FEMA property. So this one was stagnant for weeks. We were reaching out to the property owner. We couldn't get in contact with him. All of a sudden, a couple days ago.
Oh,
he started
good.
Picking up his phone.
Nice.
That's the other one, right?
Correct, because
Okay.
he has stuff on our land that we need to get moved before FEMA will pay us.
So today there is a skid steer over there.
Oh,
with a
awesome.
flatbed truck and some guys working on clearing that.
Fantastic.
I'm interested to see what it looks like when I drive back by
Tonight, yep.
But I think that he's actually going to move all the stuff. From that aspect, we should be good.
Good.
Another
Good.
update, Stephen located a couple springs on the property that are causing a flooding and water issue. Current plan is to task the highway department to go over and dig some ditches, run them down to the river, fill the ditches with stone so that the water can freely flow, and we can turn the rest of it into a green space. We've
Okay.
done some preliminary investigation into that. The team is okay, as
Oh,
long as
okay.
we have verification from an engineer that no state permits are required.
Oh, okay.
So we do sort of have that verification. I'd like to see it a little bit more official.
Okay.
Before we task the highway department to go over there. It's not a reimbursable expense,
I figured.
but it's time and labor for highway and then the stone that we already have on hand.
Yeah,
So from a cost perspective, we should be okay there.
and it's gonna get us paid for all the other stuff, so.
Yeah, and we're not talking stormwater runoff.
Right,
These are natural springs. Think that we should be able to route them to the river.
Yeah.
But I do want to do a little bit more verification than what was done.
perfect. Okay, great.
More to come on that.
Okay,
I think that's all for that property. Steven's working on the checklist.
oh,
For
great.
the closeout, me and Jen are monitoring that closely, and once we clean up that one property and figure out what we're doing with springs. We should be ready to schedule the final inspection.
Great.
This one, social media authorization.
Oh, I wanted. Well, and Kim too, we wanted to give Alex authorization to be able to post on Facebook and Front Porch Forum, right? Do we need both?
Yeah, I would just say motion to authorize Alex Goddard to post on how.
So in case, Justin's not available, we want someone else to be able to post on the social media platforms, so that's why I wanted to.
I make that motion, that's totally fine. I think
Perfect.
I'll second that.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Abstained? Okay, great. So who gives him the correct logins and all that?
All right,
Oh, perfect, okay. And you had Evergreen Septic too, did you want?
yes, we can go through that. too.
Okay,
So Brandon from Evergreen Septic reached out. He was curious about our septic systems, if we were on a consistent schedule for pumping and servicing. I chatted with Jen. She says, no, we just call when there's an issue. Folks come over. I guess there was a large septic issue in the last few years that we worked through.
mhm,
So we both felt that it was probably good to get on a consistent schedule. This gentleman reached out, he just branched off from a big company in the area. I'm forgetting the name, and created his own business. I've checked with some sources over in Stowe. Been getting glaring reviews,
Yep.
so he sent over. His cost estimates for a fee schedule, the jetting and camera service is $225. The pump rate is 29 cents a gallon. And 150 hours for time on site with the truck. There's an emergency $150 fee if we're pumping in the middle of the night due to an emergency. and then a confined space entry of 250. I ran the numbers with our size tanks, these all seem like reasonable estimates, so I'd love to tell him, hey, yes, let's get on a schedule. Figure out,
This is more if we call for an emergency, this isn't like the regular. Price for,
the 150 emergency fee is for after hours.
yep,
Everything else is a regular fee. So if we need a jetting and camera service, it's 220.
got it, okay, so.
If we're
and
emptying
just
our
to pump the
tanks.
tank, like nothing's wrong with it, we're just being preventative.
Correct, it's the 29 cents a gallon, plus 150 an hour for the truck to be there. If it takes an hour, it's 150. If it takes
Yeah.
less, it's less. But I think to prevent issues in the future, we should be on some sort of schedule.
I agree.
So me and Jen can take a look at the budget and say, hey, we have some maintenance funds left, let's do an initial assessment now.
Yep.
Determine where we're at, and then he can propose a schedule moving forward.
Okay,
It could get expensive if.
right.
Mhm.
Right.
Okay. We probably don't need a motion on that.
We're starting a contract with a new provider. And
True.
I'll make the motion to use Evergreen Septic. To pump the tanks either.
Perfect. Second.
I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Abstained. Okay,
Memorial Kennels. Things took a turn after our last meeting. And I got an email a few days later that they had already reached out, selected their own contractor, and are moving forward with the door replacement. They gave us two options, sounded more like ultimatums. Option one was $30,000 lease with a $2,000 security deposit for the door, refundable for any funds that they don't use. Cost $1,000, we get $1,000 back. Option two was $32,000 for the lease, non-refundable for the $2,000 for the door replacement. I was disappointed. I expressed that. I understand their position, but I was disappointed in how this transpired. We were reaching out to contractors. Didn't get anyone scheduled, but
we were trying,
we were trying,
working.
we were making the effort. I know that they've had a bad experience with previous administrators. From what they've said. For what that's worth.
Mhm.
I'm hoping that after we bridge this gap, the relationship will be a little better. I did float the idea of this next lease being 3 years instead of 1. They're concerned about the inflation with the tariffs and they don't want to lock in that price right now.
That was our original plan, was to do a 1 year to see how it went and then do 3 after that.
Correct, yeah, and he did mention the 1-year trial, which I would assume was last year.
Yeah,
So maybe we can revisit that. They've extended the contract to July 1st. So it was supposed to expire June 1st, end of May. So.
We're on the same
that
fiscal
extra
year.
month,
Good.
which was good. So we do have a few months to kind of sort this out, but. I think right now we're stuck with the $30,000 lease, $2,000 deposit that we did not want to do.
Yeah.
And
I'm disappointed by this. This
Me too.
is- We are helping them out as much as they're helping us out, and this is.
Right.
Yeah, I mean. We have other, it would take a lot of work,
Right.
and I don't know that we really wanna go back there, but. We might have to look at other options in the future.
Exactly.
yeah, it does seem like it's getting more expensive and. They're right now unwilling to negotiate with us. So I guess we'll see where it moves forward from here.
Okay.
It might be worth setting up a meeting. In person, having them come over, talking with the board.
Right.
It's contracts, we could do it in executive session.
Yep.
Maybe we can just clear the air of. Things that happened in the past and
Start fresh.
Cause I've kind of been the go
I was gonna
between,
say-
and I've heard nothing really that. We did all the repairs we were supposed to do way back when.
Right.
Yeah,
you've been involved since the beginning.
I just am a little shocked. By this, I mean, yeah, there was some
Bumps.
bumps, but with the previous, but. Nothing that, just they still got paid, we still
Right.
sent dogs up there, everything was still. Flowing nicely, so
absolutely.
I'm disappointed.
I did print off the email history, so I'll let you look through that.
Okay.
See where we can go forward.
Okay.
What was the lease amount this last year?
30,
Okay.
which was up from 25.
Cause we originally, yeah.
So the town paid 25 and now they're paying 30, or they paid 25, 30, then 30 again?
Last year's contract was 30,000. Or this year's contract is 30,000.
Right.
Last year's was 25.
Okay, so it's increasing by 5. Is what you're.
Not
year's
this
staying
year.
the Same. At
With the
30,000.
deposit. Marshall sand and gravel, we can't. We have to discuss that in executive session, right? Okay. So we can do that at the end. Is that everything you've got for us, Alex? You had all sorts of fun stuff.
That is.
Okay.
We didn't add this to the agenda. I reached out to Dave Rue on the 4th of September. To get his thoughts on the ATV ordinance.
4th of
draft.
September.
4th of April.
Okay.
I was
running that
like,
through
my brain for a second, I was like,
So about 45 minutes. I received that back today. They did propose some changes to the ordinance.
No. I thought we approved
I
it.
don't think that any of them are things that we need to incorporate.
Okay.
Back through the
Okay.
process.
Okay.
My thought is we take his thoughts and potentially incorporate them next year.
Okay,
It's adding language like the ATVs drive on the road and they create mud which dries and then becomes slippery, similar to farm tractors.
okay,
Also included an expanded scope of who can be an enforcement officer instead of just the sheriff's department or the state police. Town administrator, select board members. In line with some other municipalities' policies.
I don't wanna
Again,
be in charge of that.
I don't.
yeah, I know, right? I was like, I don't like that.
But we can, yeah,
Sure, I don't think that we need to include.
okay, good,
changes this year,
okay.
but yeah.
Cause it goes into effect like tomorrow, I think, or whatever, the 15th of May, right?
Right.
Okay.
Very soon,
Yeah.
so
Okay,
we'll look
well,
at that for next year.
perfect, okay, thank you very much. Okay, 10 Ben's, let's give them a liquor license.
I'll make a motion to approve the liquor license for 10 Ben.
I will second that.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed,
Aye.
abstained. Okay. Interlocal agreement. Oh. Shit. Do you have? Is this it? Oh dear lord, that is it. This looks way better on my screen. So we had a meeting with the other towns in Justin. Regarding his interlocal. One of the options, well, the two options, I guess, for Justin are. Staying at the current 8 hours or increasing to 10. I think. What are your reasonings for the 8 and the 10? Instead of me speaking, you can speak to that right now.
For diving in accuracy, efficiency, investigative purposes. Basically. With the additional 2 hours, I can run more reports, have hopefully more time for the parcel maps. Research wastewater permits and have those reflected on the property record cards for when townwide reappraisal happens. It's an above and beyond type of measure, instead of just sticking with the minimum or even the average of let's move forward and correcting that as we go. I would dive in, try to look for issues and apply more details. A note that Krista has been great with updating the tax map, but helping with that. I haven't had time, and when I try to make time for it, and other things come along that take priority. So yeah, the question would be if you want me to spend more time researching, investigating, adding, or just stick with like the status quo, I think as Chelsea put it, and well, it's here good enough.
Right, so as far as the budget goes, we did the budget on 8 hours. So I talked to Jen, so I was kind of curious where we were at on that. So the 8 hours is what, we were intending and planning on. I think my thoughts on it are to keep him at the 8 hours, and just kind of really pay attention to what you're doing, what we can get done in those 8 hours to see if we really need to increase it for next year. That's kind of where my head's at, but I don't know if anyone else has any thoughts, or Alex, do you have any thoughts on it, or?
Budgeted that way, we should finish out this way.
Because. What have you been running? You've been running under a little bit, right, lately, or now, or?
Yeah, but through March and April, my
Right.
hours were over, so.
Oh, so it balances out.
Yeah, I looked at my total hours between all towns and I'm almost perfectly on point.
Oh, no
It
kidding.
said like I should have 1,320 as of this point.
Yeah.
I have that 1,323
Oh.
between all of them, so.
So you're right, yeah, well, you don't have a lot of time to spare in between, so.
Well, and that was another thing too, in that. I'm not diagnosed with the OCD, but I have those tendencies anyway. So by bringing this to the board, it's a way for me to kind of reel that in, like what are your expectations of me,
Sure.
what do you want from my position? So to know if I'm doing a good enough job in your eyes, or if
Yes.
I'm not, or. Yeah, just that communication.
I mean, I've been happy with Justin and what he's gotten done and the time that he's given us to
Yeah.
date. And I feel like everyone else feels the same way. The other listers, so to speak, as well, so.
I would say
so-
the parcel maps is probably the
Yeah,
only or biggest complaint of the times, because they're so outdated still.
yeah,
But we are making progress, especially with Krista. So
right, exactly, yeah, so if we can see what we can do this next year. And then maybe when we're doing the budget, we plan to. Maybe do a big revamp of the maps or something, have like a special project for that or something, but.
I'll also know, next year, as of July 2026, our townwide reappraisal starts.
Oh, that's right,
At that point, my hours, I would suggest putting me at my maximum.
I agree,
for overtime.
that's right,
So it's also, should I get stuff done before the reappraisal, or just say, yeah, we'll find out if it comes, and when reappraisal comes. Just keep on going,
keep on going, yeah.
but I'm not begging for more hours either, so.
Okay.
I don't know where you're gonna fit them in, this math looks good, but I don't know where you're really gonna fit it.
I know, right?
I know, I was gonna say, where do you find more hours?
So I think we don't need. An action, because I bring this to. I let Johnson know what we've decided, right?
You can, when we left it, there was only a couple of us left.
Yeah,
But all the towns were gonna report back to me of what hours they want.
Okay.
And Duncan will put it onto the spreadsheet, put that back out to all the towns.
Okay.
Like, here's what everyone's decided on.
this is the cost, okay, so we should probably wait till the next. When we get the contract,
Yeah.
that's
so,
when we'll vote, probably,
let me know now if you want me to stay at 8 or 10. Sounds
Okay.
like 8, but,
yeah.
I think
Are you
so.
guys in
Yeah.
agreement with that?
Okay. So I'll let him know then.
Okay.
At the next meeting, I'll have, fingers crossed, have the updated spreadsheet. Presuming everyone's in agreement with the updated spreadsheet, starting in June, the vocational program for everyone to sign.
Perfect, okay,
The other change to the interlocal is. The training budget has been added to it. Before, just the towns
Mhm.
assigned a budget for it. Now it's $1,500. That's for courses and fees.
I like that better,
Yeah,
I mean, it makes more sense,
and the computer, so that we're hopefully adding the computer to the interlocal agreement. Because right now I'm just using the town of Hyde Park
right,
Kirk computer for everyone for the most part.
yeah,
And yeah, this is gonna be needing to be replaced this year or next year, so as of July, interlocal, everyone just chips in on the laptop. except for probably Berkshire, they're not on the cloud.
Except for Hyde Park, because we've been supplying it for the last 3
Should
years.
ask them about that. Maybe they'll break or something. Hopefully
I'm like, sorry, we're not paying for this year, sorry.
Yeah.
Then you pay, how about we'll pay you, then you pay us back for the one that he's had.
There you go. Yeah, a little bit back.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'll tell Duncan, yeah. Okay, so great. Okay, emergency, we're moving to the next one, North Hyde Park scoping study. I went to the meeting at the North Hyde Park Fire Department the other night. The Boys and King did a fabulous presentation, but unfortunately, you know, as we all know, people tend to not go to those. But I also feel that, and I know I failed at really getting the word out. Cause I usually am better about posting that stuff, and we didn't post it on our Facebook, the town page, and we, you know, I know they were doing some, you know, advertising, I guess to call, but so I feel like I kind of dropped the ball on that, or the town did, because we should have helped maybe. So moving forward, I'm gonna try to be better about that and make sure it's in Justin's newsletter and we can post it on the Facebook and stuff. Because they do have a survey out right now, that I'm hoping I can send to you, or actually now that you have access, posting that survey, on the Facebook page to let people know, because you don't have to live in the village to do the survey, because they want like lots of opinions of the town people, and if you go through there, what would you like to see, kind of thing. Because they're really gonna be using that data to help with the study that they're doing. And a couple of people that were there did have some great thoughts and ideas, but, so that's still trucking along, and,
Thursday?
I'm sorry,
Meeting Thursday?
it
Are
was
we-
Thursday.
No, are we meeting this Thursday?
I don't know, are we?
I have it on my calendar every Thursday, so I was like, I think I will.
Every Thursday?
I think I will.
No, it's not every Thursday, is it, Alex? I don't have it
I
on it.
don't have one for.
Okay.
Okay, you must have been like, add it
think
to
I
every
did it,
Thursday. 'Cause I'm like, oh, no.
Let's get this fixed up here.
How many people attended?
So it was me, Brent Lamphere, Valerie Valcourt, another resident, and I didn't get her name.
Go. Maybe?
Sorry, nope, she didn't come.
Oh.
Something came up for work or something, because she was supposed to be there. Another resident, and Mary Waltz.
Oh, Mary.
Oh, Mary, yep, she had some good input, and that was it.
I adore her.
So really two, you know, Mary and the other resident and she lives right in the village, like right on the main drive. And she just moved here. So she had, you know, a lot of
Oh, nice.
interest, which was good, so. Okay, any other discussion on any ideas, thoughts?
I'm taking a
Stuff.
2-day emergency, what is it? Let me tell you. Emergency preparedness conference in September in Killington.
Oh,
But I'm gonna do
nice.
it online because the hotels were like $250 and I was like, I am not paying for that. So I'm gonna do it online.
Oh, you can do it online.
Yeah, it was an option, but it's
Oh.
from 9 to 4:15 every day,
Wow.
both days. So, and I was not driving to Killington both days and the conference rate rooms were still like almost $300 and I was like, we're not paying for that. So, I did sign up for that.
Okay,
So I'm taking that for 2 days in September.
okay.
Because I did get that from one of the million emails that I now get from emergency
From the state.
management.
Uh,
Over the weekend, my phone was blowing up for all these weather alerts, weather event, and I'd look at them and I'd look at the map and I'm like, nope, not us, ignore, nope, not us, ignore.
I get those too. Oh,
So.
I think. I don't have anything else either. So do we want to move into executive session to discuss Morrisville Sand and Gravel? And it's because it's a legal matter and it would be at risk for the public. What's that wording?
It's been so long.
Oh, I don't know. I was doing good. Wasn't I doing good? I was pretty proud of myself. It put the town at risk for information or something, blah, blah, blah. Sounds good. Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion to go into executive.
Acknowledge the need and then the notion to, yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Matthew, I'm gonna call you.
Sounds good.
Oh, he can stay on?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
so the first one is the motion to acknowledge the need.
Yes.
Yep. And I made that motion.
I'll second that.
Good. And then before we actually make the motion to go in, wanted to note under select board project goals for 2025, our upcoming list, whether you want to do it this meeting or next meeting, I think we should make a plan for all those items for a timeline or something. And how you want to get them done or when you expect to get them done by.
Okay, that's everybody's homework. Okay,
Well, I'm not doing anything until I know the road signs are up, speed limit signs are up.
are the speed limit signs out?
Thank you so much. Good job.
Because that was like my very first select board meeting a year and a half ago, and if they're not up yet, I'm making no commitments to do anything.
Although they shouldn't be because the speed limits were on the same timeline as the ATV or
Oh, man,
so.
so they can't go up till after Thursday? Okay. Fine, by the next meeting, if they're not up. Then I will,
Okay,
I'll,
so
I
we
will
will-
prepare for the,
we'll do
this list.
We'll,
then.
we're gonna all do some homework on that list, okay?
Okay.
Kind of think about your thoughts and then we will discuss them at the next meeting,
Okay.
okay?
Sounds good.
Okay.
So I would suggest that the board make a motion to enter executive session
He
for
just
one
looked it up.
PSA 313A1E.
Okay,
Pending or probable civil litigation or prosecution to which the public body is or may be a party.
There we go.
that one.
We like that. This is. Nothing to do. You don't have to do anything with that, just.
Well, right, and he has the same, and that's the same as this one too.
That's. There, my homework's done.
Yeah. Okay, then
mean, none of them
read
sound
by,
good.
Savannah, seconded by Nicole.
yeah.
I was hot when I came in here. Now I'm burning.
My toes feel like they're.
And all those in favor signify by saying aye.
And you want to include Alex
Yes,
and.
and Justin, yes. Please,
$18.
and Matt online.
$18 Amazon.
Okay.
Okay, yes.
Okay, I make the motion to approve the proposed settlement terms in Morrisville Sand and Gravel's permit amendment appeal and to authorize the select board chair to sign and the town attorney to prepare any documents needed or advisable to complete the settlement and to have it entered as an order by the Environmental Division of Vermont Superior Court.
Okay, do you have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained. Great, thank you very much for that. And do we have anything else this evening? Motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Awesome. Matthew, go take care of your daughter.
Yeah. Hey, Alex and Justin, just want to say thanks for all you do, and Chas and all you guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. See you
You're
later.
free. All right.
Bye.